All women should have their thing, just period.
So then what's the biggest mistake that you've learned from in business?
Just because people are good at making money doesn't necessarily mean they're good at keeping it. For me, struggling artist to successful artist, I wasn't prepared.
Am I understanding that you didn't really have a plan until you met your husband?
Well,
Hello and welcome to the Elena Cardone Show. I am so excited to bring to you today Ashley Joy. She is the author of the new book, Financially Fly,
Yes.
Mastering Money and Wealth for Women.
Okay.
So I cannot wait to talk to you and hear about your life. It sounds very interesting.
Yes.
Come from, well, first of all, you were born in Michigan,
Yes,
Detroit.
I am born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I am the product of a musical family. My mother was a singer, phenomenal, in the 70s, and she did, background on over 4,000 records. Everybody from
Wow.
Bob Hope to George Clinton and the Funkadelics. And my dad managed her group. So I grew up getting the best of both worlds. I got the entertainment, but most importantly, I got the business from my dad.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
And so is that why you wrote the book?
Well, I wrote the book because I realized it was such a void, especially in my community, about conversations that focus on money. I feel like it's a very taboo topic, and I feel like a lot of people don't like to address it head on.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for women, I just wanted to open the doors for conversations to be had and for, women to focus on building the right relationships and, making the right contacts to make sure that they are structured for financial freedom.
And do you feel like that's just what you found in your community?
I think it's widespread. I think I growing up, I didn't have anybody to look to for financial advice.
Right.
It wasn't taught in school.
Right.
And you really don't learn until it's a little bit too late and you've made tough mistakes that are lasting.
Mm-hmm.
So the older I got, the more I realized that this is a void for women all women. All women have this issue. So I just wanted to create something that allowed the conversation to be open and just to flow.
And so obviously we know why it's important for women to have this, but why is it important for women to have this knowledge?
Absolutely. I grew up in a musical household. I started my own career in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
I was a singer. I was signed to Universal Records, and I love to write. So I had a career, and I met my husband, who is, to me, the greatest songwriter of all time.
Was he at that time?
He was. He's been in the industry for almost 30 years now.
Wow.
So when we met about 15 years ago, yeah, he definitely wore that crown. But just when we got together, we started music companies, we started publishing companies, and our dynamic within the entertainment industry, it shifted. It shifted from being, for me, struggling artist to successful artist and having success, with major artists. I wasn't prepared, and I don't know that a lot of people in the industry are prepared. This is an industry where money comes at you fast, and unless you're structured, it could leave your hands just as fast.
And what does structured look like?
Well, I just think structured means understanding your relationship with money, understanding why you have that relationship with money, and taking necessary steps in order to preserve. Basically having a plan.
And so am I understanding that you didn't really have a plan until you met your husband?
Well, I would say after I met my husband. That's
interesting.
I would say after. Yeah.
After.
And when I met my husband, he had been in the industry for years and he had plenty of success, but even his team around him wasn't as solid as it could have been.
And you recognized this early on?
I recognized it early on. I'm like,
did you say anything?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very, very vocal. Yeah, I told him, I'm like, you need a team around you that you can lean on that is stronger than you are in some areas. I feel like just because people are good at making money doesn't necessarily mean they're good at keeping it, maintaining it, growing it, and those are the important things. So
very important things. So how did you spot? Like, how did you know that there were outpoints there?
I just think time, I'm just paying attention. I'm a little OCD when it comes to details.
Me too.
So I'm like the devil is in the details. I'm very thorough when it comes to, analyzing what's what, and, just took a little bit of time to recognize that.
Did you spot a red flag?
Oh, absolutely. Red flags in terms of people.
Give us an idea of what red flags look like.
In the entertainment industry, I feel like there's so many people that are just hanging around as yes men. And they make you feel very good about yourself. They make you feel like all of your decisions are the right decision. But, it's their job to make you feel as comfortable and as complacent as they possibly can. I feel like that. I feel like the entertainment industry can be very cutthroat. And I came in as mama bear, and I just felt like I had to help my husband to really view things from a different angle.
Was that hard for him to hear at first?
It wasn't. He knew that I had
Wow.
his best interest at heart, and he was very, very open. And I think he recognizes the difference today from 15 years ago, by far.
Because you've grown together in all of
Yes.
these companies and businesses.
Yes.
Did you fire people?
I may have fired a person or two.
Do you now,
I leave that up to him, though.
so you say this person's got to go and he has to do it?
I will just point out
The
to
red
me
flags.
what's obvious.
Yeah.
The red flags. And
Uh-huh.
he will make the decision, in what capacity they'll play a part in his life from that point forward. But it's important. It's important. And I think that dynamic in the relationship, I feel like that's the best part of it, just really knowing that your partner has your back, and so I talk about that in the book as well. I talk about, really finding people, especially when you're in relationships with people that support you and aren't intimidated, that want to see you be the best version of yourself. And I just think if you want financial freedom, that your partner should want the same and more for you. Yeah.
And does Pooh Bear, does he support you in growing
Absolutely.
your goals?
Absolutely.
And like, give me an example of how he does that.
I come up with a lot of ideas, and I like to be busy. So every time I have an idea, he is full force. What can I do? Who can I call? How can I help?
Wow.
Can I invest in this?
Wow.
And
Wow.
sometimes I'm like, no, I just want this to be my project. But he's very loving, and he's very giving, very supportive in all I do.
Do y'all share bank accounts?
We do not.
Ever? Never?
We don't. Yeah, everything has always been separate.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What's the plus side of that?
I think, I don't know. I feel like in every relationship it works out differently.
Me too.
And usually, that joint account would be to share, joint household expenses. But we keep things separate. And I don't know. It makes both of us comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that because you get to not have to explain certain things that you choose to spend money on. Is that correct?
Amazon. On a daily basis.
And it's okay, right?
It's okay.
And does he know how much money you make?
He does.
And you know
He
how
does.
much money he makes?
Yes.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay,
Yes.
well, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Because in our relationship, we have like a joint thing,
Mhm.
and then Grant lets me have my thing.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I'm like, I'm very happy with that arrangement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it's important for all women, and I talk about this in the book as well. I think all women should have their thing,
Yeah.
And that's just period. I think all women should have,
And is that because you think that men kind of control the money, that they also kind of control, like the woman feels trapped?
I do feel like that is a possibility in relationships. I feel like the dynamic could, it just depends on the man and his security, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in a lot of relationships, men do use the money to have the power and the control over the relationships. So
Yeah.
I speak to that, and that's, one of the main reasons why I feel like women should always, like, no matter how comfortable you are in your relationship, no matter
Right.
how much money your man makes, you have to be able to be self-sufficient. And you never know what happens down the road, and you always want to be prepared, and I just feel like your man should want that for you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy that Grant is okay. And I know it's odd too, because we have our multifamily investments,
of
and
course.
obviously I'm a part of that. But with my money, it took me years because I wanted to invest in the multifamily. And for him, it didn't make sense at first. He was like, well, I don't understand. Why are you investing in something that you already are half ownership of?
Yes.
But I'm like, but no, you don't understand. I want to see my monthly dividends hit my bank account. And otherwise I'm going to have to go invest in something else. And I want to do it. So finally I now, and which is so weird. And I know it doesn't make sense to people, but I have a feeling I'm making sense to you.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I have other investments too, but I can't even tell you. I don't even know how to explain it to him why that is so important for me to see my own thing.
Right. Well, I feel like it's it lets you know that you're in alignment.
Yeah.
I feel like to be able to look at your bank account and know that you have generated certain dollars, and it's, I think it's so important for esteem. I think it's important just across the board.
Well, I do too. But do you think, before we move on, do you think that a man could look at it as well, why do you have to do your own thing? Are you preparing your out? And why don't you trust me? And
of course,
it could make them feel a little like you're individuating from the relationship.
Of course. Yeah, I think that's definitely, it could be an issue, but it just depends on the type of man that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it has to do with their level of security. And that's why I think conversations about it, being transparent about your intent, and I think it's just one of those things that it requires a lot of tough conversations. It's not an easy thing. And, men are raised to want to provide and protect and, all of those things. But as women in today's world, I just think we owe it to ourselves, to be financially free. And that doesn't mean you're separated from the relationship, but it just means that you can make your own decision without being dependent on someone else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that. I love that plan. So you have companies now together. How many?
We do. We have about 3 companies together, publishing companies.
Okay. So how do you handle discrepancies when y'all have differing viewpoints on the way something should be handled?
Just conversations, which are usually tough, tough conversations. But I feel like as long as you address it immediately and don't let stuff fester.
Does he like to talk? Is
no,
he a communicator?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
me.
On the scale, yeah, I'm a talker.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll know how I feel at any point in time. And, I feel like in the scope of things, he is a great communicator, but, I talk about this in the book too. There are moments when you may want to plan out your financial conversations or plan out those tough conversations to prevent someone from feeling bombarded. You never want to catch anybody off guard. You want to plan it, set a time. Hey, let's talk Thursday night about this, and that way they don't feel like you're, just coming out of the woodwork. They have time to gather their thoughts. And I know with men, sometimes you have to be a little more gentle in terms of their feelings. But I feel like when you plan those conversations out, then both of you can come prepared, and you're coming from a great place. Then by the end of the conversation, you should be on the same page.
Wow. How long have y'all been married?
We've been married for 7 years.
Wow.
Together 15 and married 7.
It sounds like y'all are going to be together a lot longer. I love how you're doing this because I don't usually like to have conversations. And I know he doesn't either.
Yes.
And so, but the more that we're expanding and growing, the more I'm doing these appointments, and we're going to talk, and it's helped.
Yes.
It's really an amazing thing. So, okay. So you have 2 children together.
I do. Yeah. A 6-year-old son, Jason, and a 4-year-old daughter, Giselle.
Oh, wow. And you like being a mom?
Oh, I love it. It's
I can tell.
The best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you learned from it?
Everything about myself. I'm not the mother that I thought I would be my whole life.
What did you think you were going to be?
I felt like I would be strict. I felt like I would just kind of have an order and that's it. And everybody would be in this box, and they just bust out the box and they live so out loud. and they are such amazing little people, and it's the greatest joy to watch them do life.
Do you ever have that mom guilt sometimes where you feel like, oh, I did this situation wrong?
Only when I travel.
Really?
Only when I travel. Yeah, it took me 5 years to travel without my kids, which is crazy. But I'm very hands-on. I'm there every day at 6:30 in the morning until bedtime. Wait,
what do you mean? You're at home? Are they homeschooled?
They're not. But I mean,
Okay.
like, while they're at home, I'm still cleaning. I'm still.
Why are you doing that? Cleaning?
Yes.
How can you be with them if you're cleaning?
Yes. It's something about me giving the attention to my own space and house. Like, we had housekeepers for years, and as easy as they made life, when they left, I just felt like my energy in my home was different. And I'm big on energy, so we did a trial without them. And yeah, it is a little more taxing on the household, but it's just something about the energy in the home that is curated, and it's exactly what I want it to be. So we've been without housekeepers for a while now.
Wow.
And it's okay.
So you have to clean the dishes, and that's my worst pet peeve. I hate doing the dishes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will cook, y'all do the dishes.
Yes.
You don't mind. You do all that. You scrub toilets.
I don't mind. I do scrub toilets. I do.
Wow.
I do.
I'm amazed right now.
I do.
No one would guess that.
I do it with no problem. And it's for the flow of my household. So it works. It works.
Love that.
Now I have my family is in town, and they help tremendously with
Always?
my kids. Always.
They're always in town.
They have moved to Miami with us.
To be with you and support you?
Yes.
Just for this agenda only?
Well, no, they've moved just to help with the children, just to help, to be there, to offer that level of support.
Family.
Yeah, because we've been here for 2 years in Miami now. We moved from LA, and it's hard when you're in a new city and nobody. So my family has been the absolute greatest support. So I have help.
So do you go out to social women's events and this kind of thing?
I do. I'm getting there. Yes.
I'm getting there too. We should do this together
We should
sometime.
do it together.
Okay, we're changing numbers at the end. So okay. The next question is so obvious. How do you manage it all? Like, now you're cleaning your own home, you're running 3 businesses, you're a wife, you're a mother, and you have a little bit of a social life.
Yes.
How do you do this?
So first thing in the morning, after my kids are out of the door on time.
Okay, so what time do you wake up in the morning?
I wake up at 6:30 every morning.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
Or a little, like 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30, and the kids are out of the door by 7:30, and
Do you take them to school?
My husband takes them to school when he's in town. Okay. So it's about 50-50.
Okay.
But I always make sure to meditate.
First thing?
The first opportunity that I have time to dedicate to me, I give it all to me.
What does meditation look like?
Meditating,
affirmations, or clear your mind, or
it varies. It varies on what my goals for the day are. The first thing I do is just clear my mind.
Like, where do you go to a special spot?
I have a special spot in my home.
Okay.
And it's my special place. I go and I just clear my mind. And
for how long?
I try to do. My goal is an hour.
What?
Yes, my goal is an hour. And it's not, I don't always make my goal, but I mean, I do minimum like 10 minutes. But my goal is always an hour, because I feel like once you have that moment and once you have that clarity, the rest of the day just flows so easily. Wow. And I've already visualized what I want to see happen. I've already visualized things playing out.
So is that what you do during meditation?
I do.
Okay, so my meditation looks a little different. I bounce on like a Pilates ball early in the morning when nobody's in my house, and I look out at the view, but like I'm not like meditating, but I'm like doing my thing.
You're visual. You're seeing things
play out all the scenarios. I'm looking at I'm playing chess.
Yes.
With myself and the whole future.
Exactly.
Wow.
So you're 5 steps ahead of the day.
That's right.
Yes.
And I love that moment for myself. Okay. So that's interesting. We do something similar. Okay. And then what?
And then it's coffee.
So now it's 7:30. It's 7:30 and we're having coffee.
Now it's 7:30 and it's coffee. And by this time, I'm usually making my way to the desk and just getting things organized. And outside of the publishing company, my husband has a...
Wait, it's 7:30. Wait, okay, so
Oh wait, so
6:30
from
we woke up,
6:30 to 7:30 the kids leave. So
but
so
you,
by
you
about
had to make breakfast before you did the meditation.
yes. Yes, the kids are out the door at 7:30.
So that
I
is
would
not
say
an hour.
by 9 o'clock. I would say
Okay.
by 9 o'clock,
Okay.
I'm at my desk,
Okay.
ready
Deal.
for the day.
Okay. I need. You know, people want to know. Don't they ask you what do you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is very
yes.
important
yeah,
for people.
By 9 o'clock,
Structure,
I'm
though.
ready. I've had my coffee.
Okay.
I'm ready to make calls and emails. But outside of the publishing company, my husband owns a water company, hydrogen infused water. It's called H Factor, and that is a company that is amazing. So that's
You love it. Are you part of it too?
I love it.
Or that's his thing?
Well, I help facilitate some deals in the beginning. So
Mhm.
yes, I do consider myself a part of that business as
Okay.
well.
Okay,
yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
And then the book. Yeah, I've been writing the book for, gosh, not that long. I started over the summer and I gave myself a tight deadline and I beat the deadline by one day.
Oh, you're
So
good.
it just depends on what phase of life I'm in, you know, where I give my attention and what I do. But for the last few months, it's been book.
And do you office out of your home?
Yes.
That's
yes,
good. That's good.
Yes.
And so you wrote a book and you did it in how long?
I would say a little over 2 months.
Okay. The difference between me and you. Okay. So was that a grueling process for you or wait, were you one of the smart people in school? For sure you are. For sure. I can see it all over you.
Yeah, I was definitely a nerd in school and I loved it. I loved it.
love
I had
that.
like a 3.9 GPA when I graduated.
Oh
so,
my God,
yeah.
I love you. So was writing a book somewhat easy for you? Because you...
Well, I mean, I've always been a writer. All my life, I've been a writer.
Really?
I started my music
because you're
career
a
because I was a
songwriter.
songwriter. Yes, and my songwriting actually started because I was writing poems, just writing, journaling, and I just started putting melody to it. But yeah, writing comes very natural to me. So once I sat down, it was grueling. It was day and night.
Right?
It was
Did
day
you,
and night.
Did you write chapters, like the titles, and then fill it in? Or did you just start writing and then think of something and have to go back and rewrite and add on?
I wrote chapters and then I filled it in.
See?
I
This is what my
brainstormed
husband did
and
and
I
why
saw-
he can complete a book. And it takes me 7 months because I don't do that
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
that
did
like with everything else, I saw the finished product exactly how I wanted it before I even started. So it made it easy to just at that point fill in the blanks.
And do you read your book on Audible?
I have listened to I have started it on Audible.
So you're gonna did you do it yourself?
I did.
Oh good.
I did.
I'm gonna
I
listen to it
did.
on
and
Audible.
I was at home in the studio. It was the first time I had been in the studio in a really long time.
And you
And
read
I'm like,
it all.
it's so different. I'm, you know, as an author, but I love the process, and I haven't listened to it all the way. You know, you get kind of funny when you hear yourself back sometimes.
Same.
But I'm really glad that I did it, that it's out there.
Oh, doesn't it make you feel so proud of yourself?
does.
Me too.
It does.
Me too.
Did you do your Audible as well?
I did my
Yes,
Audible as well.
yes.
I wrote the book. It was very hard for me because I was not a good student. And so even just sitting still, I'm very hyper. And I just never thought I was smart enough to be a book writer. So in finishing that book, it really rehabilitated my
Yes.
school years because I was like, wow,
Yes.
that was a big lie
Yeah.
that I agreed to believe about myself. Of course, it's not true.
Mhm.
Anyway, it was a very successful action for me, and I'm actually thinking about writing
Oh
another one.
my, yes.
I might. I don't know.
I love it.
So speaking of action, successful actions, what is the most successful action that you implement no matter what?
The most successful action that I implement no matter what. I would have to double back and say it's that dedication to myself.
In the morning?
In the morning time, making sure that I am prepared for the day, and the better off I am, the better off I can treat everybody else, and the better I can handle anything that's thrown at me.
Mhm.
I think that that's key.
How important is a team?
Oh, a team is priceless. A team can make you or break you. Your team is, gosh, you have to be so cautious and careful when you're building your team. But once you lock in, it's the gas in the car. You know, it's really important.
How do you hire above your strengths? How do you know how to do that?
I think that's the only way that you should hire.
Right.
Everybody has to be better at you at something.
But how do you hire for that? Like, are you looking at resumes? Are you looking at the stats that they come with? What are you looking at? How do you gauge it?
Vibes. I think anybody can write anything on a resume.
Me too.
And most of the people that are, in our inner circle come, word of mouth or, just through mutual friends. But I think nothing replaces a vibe or an energy that you get off of a person. I feel like you can tell a lot when you tap in and you pay attention. People tell you who they are out the gate. People tell you who they are. And if you're paying attention, I think the vibe is everything.
So you're not looking to mentor on the way up. You're looking for somebody to say, oh, you want to go in this direction. Here's the map. Here's the plan. This is what we're going to do.
I think in terms of hiring, I don't want to mentor in terms of hiring.
Yeah.
But we do have our times where we specifically mentor women, specifically mentor young kids. But I think in terms of hiring, I think, the person has to come equipped to benefit you.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Golly, man, I love this. And you compensate well?
Yes. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You have to.
You have to, right?
Because somebody else will.
That's right.
Yeah. So
then what's the biggest mistake that you've learned from in business?
I don't consider things mistakes. I consider them lessons. So I feel like everything happens how it's supposed to, even when it's not necessarily for your benefit in that moment. I think it's a lesson that you can learn, and it's an opportunity to grow. I feel like we all have that point of contrast and things that we want and things that we don't want. And the contrast is necessary for what you want to rise up. So I don't really look at things in terms of mistakes or negative or anything like that. What
was does any one particular thing come to mind where maybe you were upset about it or felt betrayed and you were like, wow, that's a hard pill to swallow. Now I can go back and take responsibility because this red flag was there or that. Do you have any samples like that and then what did you learn out of it?
I would say hard lessons are usually through people that you have really high expectations out of. And I think that trusting any one person in business too much can be detrimental. I believe in checks and balances when it comes to business. I believe in having, multiple people that are there to make sure that everything flows smoothly. So I think in the past, like the most, the toughest lessons have come from putting too much faith in one person. And I feel I just feel like it's important to, you have a team that you depend on, but I feel like it's important always for you to know what you require yourself and know how to do it yourself in some capacity so that you're not taken advantage of.
Okay, so good. Now let's say you're not getting what you want out of a member of the team. How do you handle that?
First, you talk about it.
Yep. Okay.
You talk about it. You make your requirements extremely clear.
Yeah.
You give them a time frame to make adjustments, and if it doesn't happen, then you can't really waste much time on them anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's when you decide to let them go.
Yeah, I'll tell my husband.
And then he does it. Oh, that's so good. Okay. Do you have your own separate team, or do y'all have the same team?
Same. It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same team.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So how do you have a lot of friends or just a small, tight circle of friends?
I have a tight circle of a lot of friends.
Okay, that's shocking. I thought for sure you were going to say a very small inner group.
I most of my friends, gosh, I have to think back. Like, I had a milestone birthday last year, and my husband surprised me. Yeah, I had a milestone.
Are we talking about the milestone?
Well, I turned 40 last year.
20 for sure,
exactly,
not
exactly.
40. Come on.
My husband surprised me with a trip to Egypt with my closest friends. and it turns out to be 30 of my closest friends. He he organized everything. He got a boat. We had a private boat to take us down the Nile. It was the most amazing experience.
Oh
and
my God.
It was, you know, Egypt has been like at the top of my list for years. So to have that experience surrounded by so much love. When I looked at my friends last year, I have friends from childhood, from middle school, from high school, from college. I've lived, gosh, in 8 different cities over the last few years, and I've really met amazing women that have been so impactful in my life. So I always feel like my circle is very tight knit, but when I look at it, it's a lot of women that are amazing.
So it was just 30 women or couples?
It was a mixture. It was a mixture of couples and women, some other kids for my kids to play with.
But do you have guy friends too?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, God, that sounds amazing. Do you, from last year to this year, when you look at the Egypt trip, is there anyone that's no longer on the list? They got booted?
No, everybody's.
They're all there.
They're all there.
They're all contributing.
They're all there. They're all there.
Do they all get access just because they were already there, or are they growing with you and mutually benefiting?
You know, it's crazy because we all grow together. We all inspire each other, and I feel like
is everybody winning? Like, we don't have any losers in the group.
Everybody
from the beginning. Nobody's doing drugs. Like, do you have a
everybody is winning. Everybody is winning, and what I notice when we do these big trips, because I've done a couple of big trips. All of my friends make friends with each other, make best friends with each other. And, you know, they're from all different walks of my life, but they, you know, it's no issues. Everybody supports each other. Everybody wants to see each other.
There's no gossip?
No.
This is a great environment and a very good culture.
Yeah.
And very unique.
We have been raised, my group of friends, we've just always been raised to believe that you could be building or you could be gossiping. You know,
building or destroying.
Yeah.
With every decision, you're either building or destroying your empire.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all of y'all are successful.
Yes. And I mean, like in every regard, we have a lot of basics covered.
I am blown away.
Yeah.
That is very unique. You know that, right?
It is. It is. And every time I'm in those settings when I can just sit back and see all of my friends together, that's a fulfilling feeling.
Does anybody new get to come into the environment?
Oh, of course.
New people come.
Of course. Yes.
What is how do you sign up? How do I fill out the application?
Listen, once again,
what do you
it's
look
vibes.
for?
It's vibes. It's energy. It's energy. Yeah.
And where do you meet these people? All at work?
We have mutual friends. I've met girlfriends that I'm very close to just out. And we just gravitate towards each other. And I don't know, it's just the energy.
Okay, so but is everybody working together? Like, are y'all all partners, or y'all?
No, we're not partners. Everyone is very successful in their own fields. We have a lot of business owners, lawyers, real estate moguls. You know, just everybody is at the top of their game.
That is fantastic. And so, do you have like core values that y'all all share? Or some people, like politically, for instance, is it mixed political, or are y'all all the same?
Probably. That's one thing that we don't really
discuss.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now, what are your views? Are you tolerant of like drug usage, or?
I don't do drugs.
But you don't care if other people.
But
do.
I don't. Yeah, I'm never gonna judge. I'm never gonna judge. Yeah.
But do you find that world comes with problems?
Absolutely it could, but I mean, you have people that are able to function, you know, and I feel like as long as it doesn't impact your core, the core of who you are, you know, I don't,
because that's pretty relevant in the music industry, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty relevant in any industry. Yeah. I feel like it's glorified more in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
But I think it's, you know, it's a very broad thing. I feel like it impacts everyone.
So if like somebody if somebody whips out with, let's start with marijuana, that's okay.
That's okay. I think that's okay.
You're okay with that in front of your kids?
Gosh, me and my husband. My husband is a smoker. He smokes.
So he smokes in front of the kids too?
He does not.
Okay.
He does not. But yeah, I feel like our kids, as young as they are, they're aware, and they know that it's, it's for adults, but it's one of those things. I feel like kids are exposed to so much so young.
They are.
And I feel like it's my responsibility to talk to them about it first.
Me too.
Before they get it anywhere else. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't condone smoking in front of the kids, but they're going to see it at some point. And
right.
I would prefer them to know what it is from me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't judge, but I've just had a bad experience down that road and all that comes with it. So I've kind of just like, in my inner circle, I don't do it. I don't tolerate it. I don't want it around, because it's a liability. I find that people that do that are a liability. Yeah. You don't find that though.
Well, it impairs your judgment.
That's what I'm saying.
It impairs your judgment. So
I would,
Yeah.
So Egypt, I got to get the information from you after the fact about Egypt.
Absolutely. It was phenomenal. We were there for 10 days and it was amazing.
That is awesome. You also help like women, and tell me about that. What do you?
Well, it is my goal to be able to reach young women, especially because we didn't learn finance in school the way we were supposed to. My target really is young women, and I just want them to be confident. It's not about how much you make today. It's about the habits that you create that allow you to be in position in the future. You could have somebody that makes $1 million and they spend it. You could have somebody that makes $50,000 and they structure it and save it and set themselves up and multiply it. Right. So, just at a glance, you think the person that made $1 million is more well off, but the habits are what allows you to sustain. So I just really want to be in position. I really want to have more opportunity to speak to young girls so they really get that.
And when you see like young women come into some money and then spend it immediately on flashy stuff or purses or jewelry, like, what do you say? What do you advise against that?
Well, that's tough because I think as women, we all have our love relationship with flashy stuff, but I would just encourage people to look past that goal instead of finish line that makes that normal for you. The things that you acquire, it may take a couple years of structure, it may take a couple years of sacrifice.
Yes.
But I mean, the difference that a couple years can make, it shifts your trajectory just a couple degrees.
Right.
And in the long run, you're a world apart. So I feel like that instant gratification is something that I feel like we all deal with.
Yeah.
But once you can see past that, I feel like that's the gold right there.
Yeah, it's like I'll never forget. People don't see this, but Grant and I went through a big sacrifice phase for many years when we were on the verge of losing everything. But he said, we're paying the price now so we can pay any price in the future.
Yes,
and we really did. There was no designer anything. There really wasn't. But people don't see that now. They just see this. And now we only spend on goodies or trinkets from the cash flow from our investments.
Exactly. Yes.
And then earned income goes either back into self-enhancement or back into the company.
Yes.
Or it's stored and saved to go invest in another multi-family property.
Yeah. The structure. The structure is everything. Yeah. The structure is the foundation. Yeah.
So do you think women have a innate like self-worth value, or does that have to be taught?
I feel like women have a innate value, and I feel like we're taught to suppress it. I feel like we're taught to depend on others. We're taught to, look forward to marriage. We're taught all of these things that take away from our innate ability to self-govern, and I do feel like I feel like we are born leaders, you know, and I feel like it for a lot of women, especially a lot of mothers that I've talked to recently, it is a slow crawl back to who you knew you were before marriage, before kids. Because we all have this greatness in us. And I just feel like society just knocks it down and knocks it down. And it's a moment, a pivotal moment when a woman looks up after being married, after having kids, after, you know, devoting herself to so many other people that she's like, what about me? Wait a minute. And it's a journey to get back to you. And to bridge the gap between who you know you are and who you're supposed to be for everybody else.
Did you feel that?
Oh, absolutely.
When you went through motherhood, did you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I just a mom now?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I told you
I
didn't travel without my children for 5 whole years.
Did you feel like you lost your identity? A little bit?
I still felt like myself, but I knew that I was just living for everybody else. And I was okay with that. You know, that in that time period like that, I felt like that was my calling. That's what I was supposed to be doing.
Me too.
But I had a moment, I had a day, and I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't done. I've missed so many trips. I've missed, you know, opportunities, and you know, I had to figure out what the happy medium was. Yeah.
And you did that.
I feel like, I mean, it's a work in progress.
Right.
I feel like that as long as you're a mom, you know, you're always torn in different directions. But I definitely feel happy with where I am now. And I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I feel like I do pour into myself first. Yeah. And
do you think the music industry helps women or hurts them?
Gosh, you know, in general, I think the music industry doesn't favor women.
I don't think so either.
It doesn't favor women. And the women that are in position, they're coerced. They are, you know, everything is dangled in front of them to go down a track that they may not necessarily have picked on their own. And I feel like as well, like in the industry, there's no structure for women. Nobody is teaching them how to navigate it and come out unscathed. You know, so I gosh,
you
it's
think
crazy.
The messaging is
I think the messaging is intentional.
You do, huh?
I think the messaging is very intentional.
Wow.
You know, and it's very interesting because the music and the frequencies, they cross the planet. You know, the frequencies are so powerful. And, you know, my husband being a songwriter, we talk about like how his frequencies have impacted the globe for years. But even, you know, with him having the success that he's had, there's nobody within the industry to protect him. You know,
what does that mean?
It's just not set up for, I feel like.
To protect him how?
I feel like the industry is set up to just milk the artists dry.
I do too.
To milk the writers dry.
Why do you think the promotion of edification of women isn't pushed? Why is that music uncool?
It's an agenda. I think it's an agenda. I don't know who has the agenda.
I don't know who has the agenda either. But
I feel like it's a very obvious agenda, and I feel like the more you can control the narrative, the more you can distract people, the more you can, you know, just implement the things that you want into the society slowly.
You think there's a hidden sort of, we don't want women to be empowered? I
don't even think it would be that blatant.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's more of a subtle disregard. You know, like it's not important to put all women on a pedestal.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I know. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
It is interesting because some of my favorite music that I've just kind of been singing for years, and I don't know whether it's because my age, I just had a milestone. A little higher than your milestone. And I'm like, God, am I just turning into one of these like old, you know, crotchety old ladies that's like, because I don't want to pick on things and I don't want to be uncool, but I recently, with a new ear, and now I'm into women's empowerment and restoring the value of the woman to society. And, you know, I went through that thing too of like just a mom, and like how degrading is it that any woman who's a mother responsible for the procreation of mankind should ever feel like that role is somehow insignificant or meaningless, right? But I went through all of that, and so I'm listening to music differently now, and some of my favorite music, I started listening to the lyrics, and I am like,
wait a minute,
this is horrible. Like, I don't want my kids listening to this. Like, this is very degrading for women. And like, okay, are we just supposed to be these objects? And like, why are we glorifying prostitution? And that is not a glorified life. I mean, that is horrible. It is, you know, and a lot of other things. So I'm fascinated with anyone else who's looking at this with me.
The entertainment, it's a crazy place, the entertainment industry, and it's so impactful. And I just believe that everything that makes it to our ears is intentional. You know, I don't feel like there are accidents or flukes. And, you know, people say, oh, this went viral, that went viral. I'm like, intentionally. Somebody pushed the button on that viral moment. So it's not, you know, it's in the last few years with streaming and social media, it gives the appearance that everything is just a one-off and it's luck. But I'm like, it's still the big machine, just with the new guys. Yeah, but it's.
And so do you think if you come out with that voice that you're not going to be protected in the industry?
You know,
do you think they'll?
I don't seek protection within the industry. Yeah, I don't feel like it's set up to care. It's a machine.
Right.
It's a machine.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like caring would, you know, just like kind of throw a rock in the in the
same
grinder.
with do you feel the same way with the fashion world? And
I think every industry really has you know, it has the intent of the people that run the industries. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It's life.
You've always known this?
I've always felt like this.
Always.
I've always felt
this
like
isn't
this.
like a new revelation.
No, I've always felt like this. I've always felt like, you know, there is a degree of programming. Yeah. So a lot of people are just fine going along with the program. You know, a lot of people don't realize they're in a program. A lot of people resist the program. And I just view it for what it is. I don't think that it's, you know, I just think it's life, and I think it's how it's always has been. I feel like it's how it'll always will be. And I just feel like you just have to figure out where you fit into that grid.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of artists have to be quiet on their viewpoints if it's not with what is pushed by that group.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you.
There's a lot of suppression, right?
It's a lot of suppression. And if you're not quiet, they will find a way to to switch the camera to somebody who's saying, you know,
what
the
they
right
want.
thing.
Yeah. I agree. Wow. So wait, what is more challenging, business or raising children?
Oh my gosh, raising kids.
For sure.
It's the kids.
Oh
it's the
my
kids,
gosh.
by far.
Oh my God. Why do you say that?
Well, every decision you make impacts their livelihood. Like when they're babies, like I just remember running to the room, like, are they alive? Are they still breathing? Like it's someone else's life that you are charged with guiding, you know? So all of your decisions impact them forever. So
and you have a boy and a girl.
I have a boy and a girl.
6-year-old boy and then the 4-year-old girl.
Yes.
Wait till they become teenagers.
Oh, gosh.
That's a whole other navigation. Not that I'm saying it's bad or hard or anything. It's just a pivot.
Just different.
It's just different because it's so weird, because it seems like just yesterday they were 6 and 4 and that's a different relationship. And then it seems like almost overnight they grew up, and now like you remember them this way that just seemed like it was yesterday, but now you have to completely shift and address them a different way because now they're
these emotions and personalities.
Yes, and they're like little mini adults, and it just I can't even describe how weird that is.
Oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I know everybody says this, but like, yeah, just enjoy every moment.
Yes.
I think, I know you do already.
Yes.
I can just tell
I tell
you
my
love
husband,
family.
I'm like, they will never be this small again. This is it.
I know. And those cuddles and the
Yes,
sleeping
I'm
together.
all for
I
the
was like, go
cuddles.
sleep in your own bed. Because every single night they wanted to sleep in our
Yes.
bed for months. And I was like, you've got to sleep in your bed tonight. Now I'm like,
Oh, the cuddles.
It's over. Like,
Wow.
they're 12 and 14. They don't
Oh
want
my
to sleep in the
goodness.
bed with us anymore.
Wow.
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
I know it happens fast.
I know. But anyway, okay. So, do you know, like, my husband wrote a book called The 10X Rule.
Yes.
I do a 10X Ladies annual
Yes.
event. When you hear 10X, what does that mean to you? Not that you have to have the right answer, but what does the concept of 10X mean
For
to you?
me, when I hear that, because I see the vans everywhere I drive in Miami, I see the vans. It just means growth and expansion. It just
Yes.
means going to the next level, and it means taking what you have and turning it into 10, multiplying it. It means using what you have,
Yeah.
no matter what it is, no matter what your starting point is, using what you have and multiplying it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And what about empire? When you hear empire,
Gosh.
do you consider that you have an empire?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. As a young girl, that was
absolutely.
my goal. I was like,
Yes.
no matter what, I'm going to build an empire. I just think it's important, mindset wise,
Me too.
to feel like you deserve an empire.
Mm.
Like we're taught as young girls, we see these fairy tales, and not everything is attainable in our eyes. And I feel like the idea of an empire is really just reinforcing to yourself that everything really is attainable. It's just a matter of how are you going to get it. But I feel like the word empire, I feel like everybody should aspire to be building their own empire to leave a legacy for their bloodline years to come.
I agree.
Yeah.
What would be the first thing that you would say if a girl is listening out there and she's watching this and she's like, I want to build an empire and I'm going to start by having this big mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I go from here? Like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm. Definitely the big mindset comes first, but then the next step is the foundation. The foundation is the laying of the first layer of bricks
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that everything that you build is going to remain standing strong. I just feel like, the foundation is the structure, your financial
is.
structure,
Yep.
what you allow, what boundaries you
Mm.
maintain within your
Mhm.
relationships with people. I feel like all of these things are foundation, and I feel like once that's solid, things it may go up left, right, but it's never going to sink. It's always going to be a strong thing.
Exactly. The four pillars really
Yes.
are like mindset, relationships.
Yes.
That's what I heard you say, money,
Yes.
and then being able to make it all manifest.
Mhm.
You know?
Yes.
And so wow, you're fascinating.
Oh,
I loved our
thank you,
conversation.
SRU. Thank you so much for having me. This
Oh,
was amazing.
you blew me away. Well, show them your book
Yeah,
one more time. This is
absolutely.
Financially Fly.
Yes.
And it's Mastering Money and Wealth for Women.
For
I can't
women.
wait to listen to it.
Yes.
When's it going to come
Awesome.
out on audio?
It actually is out on audio.
Okay.
It's out now
So
on
I
audio.
can go to Audible.
You can go to Audible.
I'm going to Audible.
Yes, it's
Okay.
out.
And I'm getting your number.
Yes.
And I'm filling out my application to get into your...
But let me just tell you, you are
Yeah.
all the vibes.
Really?
Yes.
Yay.
I love this. Thank you so
Really?
much.
I
Thank
have the
you.
vibes?
You have the vibes. Yes.
Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Thank
that
you.
means a lot to me.
Thank you.
Especially coming from you beauty queen, you talented woman. Thank you for coming here
Thank you so much
and
for having
enlightening
me.
us with your beautifulness
Aw.
and smarts. And
I do. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Who brings it to you? That's right. You can always count on me. The woman who's got the back of the women building the empire.
That's right.
See you later.